So, welcome to Michelle's Inspiration Hour. I am so grateful that you are here today because I'm hoping that every episode will give you empowerment, it will give you enlightenment, and it also will give you inspiration. So, I am going to give you a quote that will kind of summarize what's going on in this episode. And I found it on our guest website. So, when the wrong people leave your life, the right things begin to happen. And this is at Awaken Harmony 8. All right, so let's talk about who our guest is. So, Carla Fernandes is a spiritual life and transformational life coach. She is devoted to helping clients overcome the mental and emotional blocks that limit their joy and pursuit of their passion. So, Carla helps individuals to release stubborn, negative emotions such as anxiety, stress, and limiting beliefs. She guides her clients into a state of mind better aligned with their true and authentic self. And she provides a structure that clarifies her clients' goals and develops a focused plan that will fulfill those goals. And I know that there are so many people that need this. And you know me, I'm always talking about you need to be your authentic self to be joyful in life. So let's hear more about Carla and about her inspiration. Hello, hello. How are
Hello.
you?
Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you so much. How are you, Michelle?
I am doing fantastic, and I am so excited to hear about where you have come from and what you have decided to do because of everything because I really am a true believer that we kind of go through things to
Mhm.
develop things to help other people. And I feel like that
Mhm.
you are doing that. So, can you kind of start from the beginning about your life, how this all started?
Yes, absolutely. I actually started on this new path about 5 or 6 years ago. And it really started from sort of an event that occurred in my life that I later ended up learning that I sort of had a major burnout experience in my life, which led me to needing to take time away from work and from my whole entire life. I was really in a bad place. I was dealing with a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety. I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't eating properly. I was dealing with so much stress with work. And I started feeling like I just wasn't fulfilled any longer with what was sort of showing up in my life with work. I wasn't fulfilled. I was at a point where I was working 16, 17-hour days, and so I was dedicating pretty much my whole entire life to
Wow.
work, which didn't give me a lot of time or space to be able to focus on anything else in my life, nurturing the relationships, nurturing my, family relationships and other personal relationships, really taking care of myself and prioritizing me as an individual. I was at a point in a place in my life where I was just giving to everyone and everything outside of myself,
Mhm.
which led me to a place where I had very little time, energy, or space to really give back to me as an individual. And so,
You know, Carla, you bring up an excellent point because there's so many people out there that get burned out and they don't really realize that they're burned out. They're not sleeping at night, they're not eating, they're getting anxious, they're worrying because they probably think it's just life, like we all do, and we think it's going to get better. I went through the exact same thing. I actually had a job that I was burned out in. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to try something else. So I did. And guess what happened then? I burned myself out on that job as well. So, I didn't take time out for myself either. And I think a lot of people don't. So, what did you learn from the experience that you went through?
the biggest lesson I really had to learn through this process is that in order for me to give to others, because I am a very much a giving person, and so many of us women are, we're nurturing,
Yeah.
um, we are, we're always giving, whether it's to our families or to our children or to our careers. Like we usually come at everything in our life and approach at everything in our life with this giving mentality, and we put so much of ourselves into everything that we're invested in that sometimes we forget to replenish our own cup. And so that was one of the biggest lessons I had to learn. And it all sort of culminated after 30 years of sort of being on this path of just giving and giving and giving to anyone and everyone in my life, that
Oh, right.
it eventually led to the point where, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, I really had nothing else left in the tank for myself. And so even though I wanted to keep sort of pushing forward with my career and other aspects of my personal life, I just didn't have the energy to be able to do it. I was in a really terrible place.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, Carla. I know that is very difficult whenever you do need to replenish. And it's very difficult because, like I said, the world gets in the way. And yeah, as women, we want to give, give, give. And I tell a lot of people that as women and as empaths, we always want to give, but do we want to receive back? No. And I think that's a lot of times where we get burned out, and we need to find ways to self care, take care of ourselves. A lot of times I tell people buy their own flowers. So, what else did you do to replenish your life to make you feel like, you know what, I can go on and I feel so much better? What did you do?
And so I had to take some time off work, which sort of opened up a lot of time and space for me to go on a journey of really sort of discovering who I am and what were my values, what was important to me. I had spent the first part of my life sort of looking at the external world or looking outside of me to tell me who I was or to define who I was. And so, I'm a daughter, I'm
Mhm.
a sister, I'm a career focused woman, all these labels that we sort of attach to who we are as individuals that
Mhm.
create this identity. But in many cases, they are so far from who we really are at the core. It's just a sort
Right.
of a mask or an identity that we've created to help us navigate this world that we're living in. And I sort of got to a point where all of those things that formed my identity, formed who I was, were no longer resonating with me. Were no longer making me feel happy. And so
Mm.
that time that I took away from work really gave me that space to go on that inward journey to discover who I really am, what are the things that I truly value, what are the things that are important to me, and really at that point, what was the strongest message that I needed to hear was that I needed to go on a healing journey. I needed
Oh, right.
to heal from my past experiences, my past traumas, the mindset that I had been carrying for, that first part of my life that I knew was sort of creating roadblocks and
Mhm.
creating this life that ultimately I designed that I was no longer happy with. And so now it was time to sort of, heal from all of those societal conditions and programs that have been sort of, a big part of my life that now felt
Mhm.
like didn't resonate with me any longer. And I was
Mhm.
looking for more. I was looking for real healing. I was looking to go deep and really get to the root because just like when we look at our grass in the summertime, when we see the weeds on our grass, we really need to pull at it at the root. Otherwise, it's just going to keep
Mhm.
growing back. And
Right.
so I really understood that, even though I wasn't I was just on this path of sort of learning, I understood that I needed to get deep into the root cause of whatever the issues were so that I could essentially release them
Mhm.
and finally step into that life that I really wanted to create for myself. And
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that. But you are so correct that we need to find the root cause of whatever healing that we need. And I know a lot of people, find different ways for healing. And there's so many great holistic areas that you can go into. I know a lot of times with me, whenever I feel anxious or whatever, I was really, doing the yoga thing. And I would also do, because yoga, you're breathing through it. And I did a lot of meditation. But of course, that's not for everybody. So, what did you do to really further along those roots to find out how you needed to heal? What did you use? What did you do to get yourself on that healing journey?
so, I took that time, I honored what I needed in that moment or
Mm.
at that stage in my life, and started on that path of healing. And for me, it started with Reiki, which is
Oh, yeah.
a beautiful energy healing practice. And so I started that as an alternative sort of healing therapy that I was looking at for myself, that I needed to sort of figure out how to find balance, how to find joy, how to find
Mhm.
love again in my life. And that modality sort of just opened up a whole world of possibilities for me. And it really helped me to understand who I really am as an individual. We have this belief that, we're just, or we're taught in so many cases that, we're just a human being having an experience on this
Oh, right.
place called planet Earth, when in reality, what we truly are spiritual beings that are having a physical human
Mhm.
experience, yes, on a planet called Earth. But at the end of the day, we are still spiritual beings, and we have different needs than what we've been taught from a spiritual
Mhm.
perspective. We're really only taught to like look at our physical needs, but we really need to take a step back and understand that we're much more complex beings than just a physical body, and
Mhm.
we really have to start to integrate healing on all levels. And that's really what my journey taught me, is that
Oh, wow.
I was chasing healing of the physical body. Um, and that only got me to a certain point. And then I started to realize, well, okay, healing needs
Mhm.
to also happen in the mind. And so that led me to, going down the path of, looking at sort of the mindset that I was carrying, the toxic belief systems that I was holding about myself, about the world around me.
Mhm.
And so that offered another layer of healing. And then it opened up, the next stage, which to me is really getting to a point of healing the emotions and healing,
Absolutely.
healing ourselves from all of the sort of experiences that we've had as humans, whether they've been, traumatic in a sort of life altering way, or they've been traumatic in a less life altering way, but still traumatic
Mhm.
to an
Right.
extent. And that's something that people also need to realize, is that the way that we internalize, or the brain sort of internalizes some of our experiences, is in a form that is associated to trauma. And so what happens when we hold on to that trauma can actually cause so many issues that people may not necessarily be aware of, from
Mhm.
mental health issues to inability to control your emotions, anxiety, physical health issues, which was, all of these things were essentially what I was learning, is that everything is so interconnected, that
Mhm.
we have to look at ourselves in that sort of holistic, from that holistic perspective, that we need to heal our mental
Mhm.
state of
Absolutely.
mind and how we think. We need to look at our emotions and how we're carrying, some toxic emotions like
Mhm.
anger and sadness and even depression and all of these like heavier feeling emotions. And you'll know that they're toxic, or you'll know that they're negative
Mhm.
when you feel the heaviness and you feel that weight of those emotions. The other biggest thing for me was also incorporating a spiritual practice that
Mhm.
keeps me connected and
Yeah,
grounded
right.
to my spiritual side, because I think that ultimately that's
Yes.
the compass that guides us.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we need to keep that channel clear so that we know where we're going ultimately.
And I love that you said that, because I come across a lot of people that do not have that spirituality in their life. And they're
Mm,
still, dealing with all of the issues. And
mhm,
just like you said, that physical, I mean, that's how you get ill. That's where all your emotions are. You hide it, deep down. I know
mhm,
whenever I was going through my burnout, I did take off a year as well. But unfortunately, I didn't have a professional like you, Carla, that could help me through it. So what I did is I found a different profession, and I thought
mhm,
this will be fantastic. It's going to
mhm,
be great. And guess what? It wasn't. It wasn't
mhm,
meant for me. I still got a double burnout. And my
mhm,
physical body started going down. My back was hurting. I wasn't feeling good all the time. I had lots of headaches. I couldn't sleep at night.
mhm,
So, what do you tell the people, your clients, if they're not able to take off a year to really
mhm.
reflect on that? What advice would you give somebody?
You can certainly still embark on this healing journey without having to take that year. And I have to say, everybody's situation happens exactly as it should. So I'm not going to necessarily sit here and cast judgment on whether my experience was the right way or the wrong way. Everybody's situation is going to be appropriate for them. But um, I mean, certainly, I wish I had the right tools in place in my life at the time that would have prevented me from having to take that 1 year off, because you know even though taking the year off did open up the space and the time for me to do the inward reflection, it also caused other sort of financial challenges that I had to sort of navigate that were, completely brand new at the time, because I did walk away from a career that provided me with a lot of financial security. And at the time I was on my own, living on my own, had my own place. So I had to worry about, paying a mortgage and paying bills and putting food on the table. And, there was a lot of other issues that sort of came up as a result of me taking that 1 year off, or close to a year off. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend or suggest that that's the approach that everybody wants to take. But I do think that, as you mentioned, and uh, also for me, in my experience at the time, I didn't necessarily have these professionals in my life that were helping me navigate either. So a lot of this was me, you know, testing out different things, testing out different modalities to see what was going to help me through the process. And that in itself was a long journey as well. It's taken nearly 5-6 years to, I think, fully overcome from the burnout, because we experience it and there's that initial sort of shock that happens in our life. And then, we kind of take that step back and give ourselves the time and space. But then it's also about coming back to your life and finding a new groove in life again, with a new, completely different perspective. And if anyone's journey is similar to mine, where now I finally realized who I was, what I wanted out of my life, but now the next challenge I had was to actually find ways to implement that new version of myself, or those new things that I wanted to attract in my life. And that also takes time, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
It doesn't just, it's not a matter of like switching on a light switch and all of a sudden your life becomes, miraculously better
Right.
overnight. It does take that time to sort of implement all of the learning and implement the things that, the new tools that you're sort of learning and adapting with. So it is a process, and I do recommend that, and suggest for individuals who are going through this, that they do work with someone who's been through the experience, because it can significantly cut down the amount of time that it
Yeah.
takes to sort of figure all of this out, because that, I think, was the most challenging part for me of the journey, was being frustrated with knowing now, okay, I have clarity on who I am. I know where I want to go,
Mhm.
but it's just allowing that time and space for everything else to fall into place, so that you're eventually where you want to be, right? And that part
Right.
takes time.
And your work
Yeah.
is not done. It's never done.
Never.
We're always learning. So go ahead and tell us about this book that you're a part of, that you
Yes.
have so much potential. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So this book was a collaboration with, I believe there was 30 other sort of holistic wellness practitioners that came together to share their stories, whether it was their own individual story or stories from their clients that they've helped support along sort of their process and their journey, in really managing, burnout, and managing this, having a self-care practice. And so it's sort of a collaboration of different practitioners that are sharing their view, their perspective on, how to overcome burnout and how to implement a self-care practice and a self-care routine, so that we can avoid the burnout. Because in essence, we want to avoid getting to that sort of point in our life, because when we're there, it can feel dark and lonely, and it can sometimes feel like life will never be the same again, and it, like, you almost can't see yourself getting out of that dark situation. I mean, I'm happy to tell people that if you do embark on that journey and you really go inwards and start to reflect and stay committed to the healing process, that you will come out of it on the other end
Mhm.
full of potential. And it sounds like it might be a scary journey to embark on, but I can assure you that it's certainly a rewarding journey to embark on, because the possibilities that open up once you're on the other side are completely
Mhm.
endless.
And I love this because a lot of people may feel, now I don't mean everybody, may
Mhm.
feel that if they get help, it's showing that they're weak. And it's absolutely not. It's almost the strongest person that reaches
Mhm.
out, because again, that you have a lot of work, inner work to do, and it never ends,
Absolutely.
which it shouldn't, because it's life. We're fighting
Absolutely.
constantly about ourselves. And so I love this, that you have a guide and that you can help guide others. And so I'm going to
Mhm.
bring up also your website. And I don't know if I found this on a website or your Facebook page, but it says awaken your inner power.
Yes, that's from my Facebook page, but
Okay.
that's really what I seek to do when I work with my clients, is to help them realize their own greatness. Because again, going back to the concept that we are spiritual beings, we are an image of our creator, which means to me that we have the same amount of power and creative energy behind us, that we can, in essence, manifest and create anything that we want to. Just like our creator, if we look around the
Yeah.
world around us, we have a magnificent world for us to appreciate, and there's so much beauty in it, and there's so much mystery in it as well. But
Mhm.
when we can start to see ourselves in the same way, with the same power as the creator, and this is not to say that we're bigger than the creator.
Oh, no.
This
No,
isn't
I know what
about
you
that.
yes. No, I
This is
get you.
about
Yeah.
identifying that we are made in his image. And so,
Mm,
therefore, we have the same ability to design and create all this beautifulness in our life. And so, my mission and, part of what I learned through my journey is that I was, um, I was limiting myself from allowing my own greatness to shine
mhm,
because of how I had been conditioned and because of how, those first few, those first part of those first few years of my life, sort of the experiences that I had, how they shaped me. It really, I got to a point where I was holding myself back from really stepping into this power of mine. And so, having
mm,
embarked on that journey and now being on the other side of it, where I have a completely different perspective, I have tools now that I can use to help me on the journey, because that's the number one thing that, and I'll sort of come back to this, is that, for individuals who are concerned about, seeking help, I would ask you to ask yourself, would you have that same sort of judgment or perspective of a little child coming to you asking you for help about something that they just don't genuinely know about?
mhm,
And that's the reality. So many of us don't know about these alternative practices or tools that are available that can help us manage our stress or help us get into a practice that we are taking better care of ourselves or prioritizing our self care. There are these tools out there, just so many of us don't know about it. And so, we wouldn't necessarily be upset at a young child who approached us about, questions related to something that they don't know about. We would treat that child with tenderness, love, and care, and we would try to
mhm.
guide that child in the best way possible so that they get the answers that they need. And
Right.
it's no different for someone in a situation like this who's, sort of looking and reflecting on their experience and saying, oh, well, I can't do this because XYZ, we can fill in whatever the blank is. Just
Mhm,
think about that little child who needs that guidance. Sometimes we are that little child just needing guidance and being pointed in the right direction from someone who's been through it and who's been down that path. And I think, again, there's nothing wrong with seeking the help when you need it. And as you
mhm.
mentioned earlier, I think it's a sign of great strength that you can reflect on, being at that stage in your life where you do need the support of someone else to help you move along
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that.
in their life.
And Carla, I can tell that you are so passionate about it, and so it
Mm.
makes you approachable. So,
Thank
I can see somebody, "Oh, I'm gonna pick up my phone right now and give her a call because I need the
Oh,
help."
I love that. Yes, thank you. I appreciate
Which
that.
is really good because and especially because of the experiences that you have been through. Some people
Yeah.
just need that, and they need that tender loving care that you can give them.
Mhm,
Even
mhm.
though, sometimes you have to be a little bit tough, but sometimes the tough get going, right?
Yes, yes.
Uh,
And at the
Are
end
you
of the day, all we
Yeah,
need is just to be seen and heard. And I think
that's
sometimes when we can find someone that offers us that, that's,
yes,
a great starting point.
absolutely. I love it. Well, are you ready for the last question?
I'm ready.
All right. So, I got it spinning. Hold on. Hold on. I accidentally spinned it before I even shared it with us. So, okay. Let me get that thing to okay. Reset. Okay, here we go. I need to add it to the stream first. I have it on a different computer screen, so that's what happened. All right, here we go. Let me
Yeah.
spin it now. Always love the sound effects. Oh my
This
gosh,
is
it
cute.
almost
I
went
like
back to the
this.
same one. Okay, so if if you had to go back through time, what time would it be and why?
Hmm. I say this often, actually, that if I could go back to a certain age in my life, I would pick age 5.
Hmm.
And I think the reason for that is because at that stage we're still so innocent and still so pure. Um, but yet we're starting to form a little bit of our personalities and who we are as individuals. We're starting to understand the world a little bit, but not to the point of its like complexity,
Mhm.
but starting to understand a little bit of the world.
Right.
And I just think it's just still such a beautiful, pure, innocent
Mhm.
age where we can still be naive to everything that's happening, but really find joy and
Mhm.
happiness in what we're doing in the moment.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I would go back to 5.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you say because it is such an innocent time that, you're able to be independent on certain
Mhm,
things. And I
mhm.
think we all need to look at different events that happen to us from a child point of view as well, because you're looking at it from a different perspective. Love it.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
exactly.
so Carla, where can people find you?
Yes. So my website is awakenharmony.ca, and my email address is connect@awakenharmony.ca. And also, if you're interested in that little workbook that helps you to sort of uncover your limiting beliefs, there's a link that I'll be providing, so you'll be able to access that information there, and through there you'll have all of my contact details as well, including my phone number. So if anyone is interested in learning more about overcoming burnout or how I can assist with this process, please feel free
Mhm.
to connect. I'm more than happy to help.
Oh, I absolutely love it. All right. Well, thank everybody for listening. And Carla, I want to thank you for coming on and help inspiring people. And know that, you know what, you might need some help, ask for it. And at the beginning of the show, I did talk about when the wrong people leave your life, the right things begin to happen. And a lot of
Mhm.
times, we surround ourselves with people and we think it's a good thing when it's not. Okay. And
Yeah,
sometimes it helps somebody to help you see all of this and see
yeah,
that it is not a healthy relationship. And I
yeah,
don't know why we do that. It's just so comfortable to do it. So, really think about who is surrounding your life and how you can make yourself happier and joyful. And if you need help, I would reach out and seek somebody who you feel comfortable with. All right, until next time, thank you. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope everyone has a blessed week.
thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.